How's everybody doing tonight? Um, I'm really busting out my heart. And then I got an order today, so I'm gonna be drawing this gentleman right here. That guy, I'm drawing him. The Facebook people, I'm drawing him for a gentleman that lives in the building. We got an order from him, and so he asked me to draw him. His father passed away, so he wants me to do a portrait of him. So I'm gonna charge him 500 color. It's gonna be the size will be 18 by 24. So 2 feet by 1.5 feet. For color 500 or black and white 300. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'll even get a frame for it. I'll have a frame. I know where a place where they make frames. Anyway, um, how's everybody out there tonight? A lot going on. Like I said, I'm very, 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 very busy. Oh, I should have invited another group, right? We should pull this guy through. I don't know if no more polls, no more polls. Cross point, cross post your live video to pages, someone who can watch. Oh, there are no pages to cross post. None is cross post pages. Cancel. I better redo this. I can just put it on over there. Nobody wants this from there anyway. Anyway, it's an interesting concept. Oh wow, so they do it like that now. Used to be the whole screen, now it's just a little piece of it. Looks cool though. Anyway, I am on my distant Garcia family. I haven't met any of them yet, but they're Garcias. They're my dad's first sons from Ohio. They lost one of their relatives, mother, sister-in-law, grandmother, Mary Kay, that was her name. So we'll keep the family in prayer, the Garcia family, Toledo, Ohio. Anyway, I'm going to show you guys this. This is what I'm currently working on. This is what I am currently working on. This is one of the pieces that I am creating. The price on it shot up even more. What do you think? So this is beadwork. This right here is beadwork. This is also beadwork. This is beadwork. And then I'll have another eye over here. Looks cool, brother. Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm gonna have another eye over here for this. But yeah, that's one of my pieces that I'm working on currently. Okay. So it's just crazy. Anyway, I'm drinking tea. As I said before, I love tea. Okay, so I'll tell you guys, I grew up around church stuff. I was forced to pray, so I hated praying. I'll tell you that right now, I hated it. I was forced to pray. Here's how my dad did it. And I'll tell you guys something. I'll tell you straight up right now. I never spanked my kids. Never did. And they were the most behaved kids you could ever meet. I never threatened them. I mean, the older ones, I was a little mean to them. Which wasn't right, of course, I know that. It's just, when you grow up, you know. Anyway, we dealt with it. But I want to say this: never spanked them. Well-behaved kids. Anyway, I got spanked. My dad used the Bible to justify him hitting me, and a lot of people do. You know, a lot of people justify beating a little person with the Bible. Here's how they quote it. Here, I'll show you how they quote it. They say, "Spare the rod, spoil the child." That's what they say. But I want to tell you something. that nobody ever thinks of. When Moses led Israel out of Egypt, he had a rod. He never hit one person with that rod. Not even an Egyptian. Not even Pharaoh. Not even, he hit the rock. He hit, he pointed it at the water. He never hit anybody with that rod. I'm going to tell you what it means by spare the rod. Okay. Rod represents truth. That's what rod represents. Straight up and down, that's the way it is. Okay? That's what that means. I better put on my reading glasses. People are writing. Hello, people, whoever's joining in. Like and subscribe. Thank you. Thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it dearly. If you have any questions, put them down. We'll deal with them head on. And again, I'm trying to stress this. In this age of people trying to get discovered, in this age of people going hak-twa and making money, you know who that is. In this age of people doing crazy, that's not what I'm doing here. In any way, shape, or form, am I doing this. I'm just bringing some good words to you that if you want to join in and listen, you can. Like a smell of a flower. If you like the smell of a flower, that's all I'm doing. If you like the sound of birds singing, that's all I'm doing. If you like a good night's sleep, that's all I'm doing. Okay? That's what's cool about this. You can always shut it off. You can always tune out. You know what I mean? Anyway, going back to this. So I was raised around church. I always tell people, I have no idea what boredom is. I have no idea what being bored means. No idea. Because I was forced to go to church as a child. So my imagination really expanded. That's why I'm able to write movies. That's why I'm able to create art. That's why I'm able to write music. That's why I'm able to write poetry. I literally, I like and subscribe. Thank you, I appreciate that. Kuro meme, I think I'm spelling that right, or saying that right. And Kaya Dito, thank you so much. Hi, hi Kuro meme, how you doing? Thank you for subscribing, guys. I appreciate it very much. Okay, let me get back to this now. So I was here's how I was raised. I said it. That's it. No more. That's what I was told. No, I did not like when people call me. Oh, I'm sorry. Kuro. Okay, Kuro. I will call you Kuro. I apologize, Kuro. I seen the other part on there, so I won't say that part. I'll just say Kuro. Thank you for correcting me. I appreciate it. Okay, going back to this now. And so here, I was raised that way, and I was totally, again, like I said, I don't know what boredom is. I have no idea what. I remember. Let me give you an example. I was in second grade. I was in second grade, and I was in second grade, and we were a poor family. We were very poor. Not for you to feel sorry for me and that, but very poor. I mean, very, very poor. And most of the time we were poor because my dad drank the money up. So we didn't have much money. He liked to drink alcohol. Okay. And so I would see the kids go up to the front, and they had show and tell. So all the kids would bring their toys in. I remember they would bring in their Star Wars figures. They would bring in so much stuff. And I wasn't jealous. It was just like, man, I'm poor. I don't have nothing. This is terrible. So one time I was in the back of the classroom, and I had construction paper. And I literally took the construction paper, and I made a 3-dimensional cop car without scissors, without glue. Just made tabs, and I made a 3-dimensional cop car while I was sitting in the back, because I didn't have show and tell. I had nothing to show. One of the kids looked back, and he saw the 3-dimensional construction paper that I made. And he said, whoa! And all the kids looked back, whoa, whoa, and they were shocked. And they said, take that out for show and tell. And I'm like, show and tell? It's just a piece of paper that I turned into a, okay. So I walked up to the front, and I laid it on the desk that everybody else laid their toys on. I go, yeah. And I laid it there. I go, I was sitting back there, and I was kind of bored. So I made it that out of paper. And they were all excited about it. They were excited about me creating something with my hands, without scissors, without glue, a three-dimensional. And that was a cop car. Anyway. So that's how poor we were. Okay, that's how it was for us. Anyway. So I'm able, if you will, to I don't know what boredom is. I really don't. No idea. Okay. Oh, let's see. Hi. I just see PUTBTA. I don't know what that means. So I'll just say hi. Hello, how you doing? Okay. Going back to this now. So I guess, like I said to you before, I was forced to pray, so I did not like prayer very much. I wasn't a big fan. I was forced to pray, so I was never a big fan. So when people say pray, I kind of got a little, And it's funny. Anyway, let me go back to this. Okay. So anyway, here, I did read the Bible, though. I'll give that to you guys. I did read the Bible. As a child, I did read the Bible. And I think I shared this before, but I'm going to share it again. I'll try not to take too long tonight. But I remember when I would read Genesis, in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved. The Spirit of God moved upon the waters. And I read this, and honestly, as a child, watch this, as a child, when I read this, I thought, okay, who is the one that is standing, writing this down as it's happening? Who is doing that? I had no concept about what was going on. I had no concept of it. So how were they able to record the beginning of all things if nobody was created yet? That was my thought process. I thought, and what did they stand on? Because land wasn't around yet. So what, and all this came to me. And I did this too. I did it when I thought about it. I thought, okay, if there was no God, would there be a brick wall instead of space? Honestly, I thought that, okay, if there was no God at all, would there be a brick wall? And I thought, well, if it was a brick wall, somebody would have built the brick wall. So that involves building, that involves creation, so that goes out the door. And then I was told that we're being recorded, like when we perish and we leave, and everything's going to be played before us. So honestly, as a kid, I would wave everywhere. I would wave everywhere. So by chance, when I stand and I see my video played of my life, I would at least be able to see myself wave to myself. I know that's silly, but that's what I did. Anyway, going back to this now. So I did read the Bible. I did as a child. I read Genesis as far as I could, because there was a lot in there that I just didn't conceive, or that I couldn't, be conceptual about. I read Exodus. I like reading Exodus because I liked the plagues, and not that I liked them, but I liked how God did stuff that was extraordinary, if you will. So I would read that, and then I'd read how they got out. Then when I would get to Deuteronomy and Numbers, I kind of trailed off because it was kind of boring. I thought, okay, this is redundant. I thought to myself. Then I would read Matthew. And this is as a kid. This is as a 7-year-old kid, 8-year-old kid. Anyway, so let me give this to you. Okay? Again, like I told you before. Okay? Not trying to get anyone to believe in God. Not trying to get anyone to join the church. Not trying to get anyone, any of those things. None of it. That's not what I'm doing. Okay? I just see some stuff in there that's pretty darn interesting. That's pretty darn cool. It's funny because I'll give this to you. I'll give this to you. So I live. If I walk to work, it would take me an hour to get to work. I live in the ghetto. I live in the ghetto. I live way about 40 blocks from where I work. So it takes me an exact hour to get from here to work. Sometimes I take Uber, sometimes I take Lyft, sometimes I just walk. And you guys will see my recordings. You'll see me walking. Some of you have seen the recordings I did as I was walking. Okay, anyway. So, a guy picked me up to go to work on an Uber. And he was telling me, and he's driving a Tesla car, an all-electric car. And those cars are pricey. And he's telling me about his hardships. He's telling me about how he has to have a job and how he's not getting enough money. And he's telling me these things. And I'm shocked to myself. I'm thinking, okay, dude, I live in the ghetto. I'm going to my job right now. You're driving me in your car in a Tesla. You're driving me to work in your Tesla. You're actually getting paid by me to drive me to work in your Tesla. And you're telling me about your money hardships? I wasn't mad at him or not. I was just like, wow, that's a trip. Watch this now. Here's what happened. Because he was telling me how he doesn't get the full benefits of being a veteran. He gets 80%. I mean, all this stuff he's telling me. And I said, because again, we think of that. Here's what I told him. I go, there's a saying. I said, there's a saying. And the saying goes like this. Even a spider builds a web in a king's palace. And he was shocked. He said, I like that. That's cool. I really like that. Okay. Just to give you some examples of what the Bible reads or what scriptures they have in there, And one of the ones I like, and here's what it says. It says, it is more blessed to light a candle than to curse the darkness. It is more blessed to light a candle than to curse the darkness. Meaning, do something about it. You know what I mean? And a lot of us, and I'll say it straight up, a lot of us are afraid. I'm gonna give you an example. I'm gonna give you something. Okay? There's 3 steps involved, okay, in the anger process. There's 3 steps involved. I'm going to share that with you. You can check it out for yourself, within yourself. You don't have to go to a professional. Watch this. We fear what we don't know. That's the truth. What we don't know, we fear. So when we don't know, we're afraid. But we don't want no one to know we're afraid, so we reflect anger to cover the fear. Because we don't want to appear weak. We don't want to appear less than. We don't want to appear, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But here's the thing about it. To bypass all that, all we have to do is get to know. Okay? That's all it is. To get to know. Let me show you what I mean. Give you a quick example. All of you out there that are listening, what's 2 plus 2? What's 2 plus 2? Immediately, your mind goes and says, 4. That's what it says, immediately. But hold on a minute. Where did you get that information from? Some of us, years and years and years ago, and some of us now, it's on a computer, but back in the day, there was a chalkboard. And some person called a teacher showed us on the chalkboard how 2 plus 2 equals 4. Okay. And so here, and I'll say this, hold on a minute. I met a guy one time, and I'll say his name. He might even be watching. His name is John Hale. His name is John Hale. And John Hale told me, he said, I just don't know if there's a God or not. He said that to me. I just don't know if there is a God or not. I said, oh. He said, I don't know. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, I just don't know if there is actually a God. Here's what he said. He said, I told God one time, if you're really there, tussle my hair, tussle my hair, or he took a pencil and he said, I took a pencil and I put it on the table. He said, God, if you're there, move the pencil across the table. And it didn't move. Now here's what he said that blew my mind. Here's what he said. Going back to the 2 + 2 thing. Here's what he said. He said, I know that 2 + 2 = 4. That's what he told me. He said, I know that. He said, beyond anything, I know that 2 + 2 = 4. I know that beyond anything. He said, but God, I just don't know about it. And I looked at him, I said, you mean to tell me that you really, really believe 100% that 2 + 2 = 4? He said, yes, I believe that. Here's what I asked him. I said, were you there when they created math? He went, wait a minute. See what I mean, folks? See what I mean? Because when you think about it, now, this is what's phenomenal to me. This is what's amazing to me. Now, I don't know if you know this. You might know it, you might not. But your body shuts down 50% when you go to sleep. When you lay your head down, your body shuts down 50% so you can rest. Now that's wild. Because if your body shuts down that much, you're close to the grave right there. Now I'll prove it. I'll prove it. Have you ever seen anyone in a deep sleep? Have you ever seen anyone that's been in a deep sleep? Honestly, if you ever seen anyone in a deep sleep, it looks like they're dead. Think about it. Think about that. Someone in the deep sleep looks like they're dead. It's like we're practicing for the cemetery. And when we're in a deep sleep, they call it REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep. It's called that, rapid eye movement. In that state that everybody partakes of, it doesn't matter who you are. Unless you're one of those folks that likes that one drug that keeps you up all the time. That's different. But eventually you'll crash and go to sleep because your body will make you. But I remember I met somebody one time. This was hilarious to me. Here's what they said. They did meth, and then they smoked weed so they could measure it out, so they could appear normal. That's it. Well, why do that stuff when you can just be normal? Anyway. Even as they were telling me, explaining to me, and it came out of their mouth, they realized how silly it was. Anyway. So REM sleep, rapid eye movement sleep, as you're there sleeping, if anything occurred during that time, that your body shuts down 50%, that you're in a state of not knowing, that's all of you, that's me, that's all of us. If anything went on, it would take you at least 10 minutes to get coherent. At least. To see what's happening around you. So during that time that you close your eyes and get into a deep sleep, to the time you wake up, anything can happen. And you have no control or power over it. Isn't that wild? Now, I'm not trying to scare you, or I'm not trying to say stuff. I'm just saying, if you're still around right now, somebody's looking out for you. Somebody's, looking out for you. Okay, anyway. So, just to give you some examples. I'm going to go through basics. I'm just going to go through basics. One of the best ones I like, one of the most amazing ones I like, is Matthew 7:7. Back to the basics, if you will. Matthew 7:7. And I'm gonna share this with you. Well, I won't, not yet. Give me a second. Okay, 7:7. Pretty simple to remember, because 7 and 7 is 14, right? 2 and 2 is 4. 7 and 7 is 14. Okay. Matthew 7:7. Here's what it says: Ask, and it shall be given to you. Seek, and you shall find. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. Now that's crazy. See, when I was a kid and I was told about the Bible, I really looked at the Bible, and I still do, don't get me wrong. But I did. I was like, and so everything that if I tried to read it would be like, ooh, that kind of thing. That's how it was for me. And I would always read it that way. I would always read it that way. And so I would not try to conjecture it to a mindful earthly understanding. I always tried to read it from the ooh. But watch this. If we read it again. Watch. Here's what it says. First one, ask. So that's simple. Ask. Really, really simple. You know what I mean? You want to know somebody's name, what do? You ask. You want seconds, what do? You ask. You want directions, what do? You ask. Now here's the part that is, as humans, as people on the earth, we're not big on rejection. We're not big on being told. No. What are you talking about? Just join. Hello, Mia. Basic truth. MIA, I hope that's right. MIA. I have weird glasses, so I'm sorry if I'm reading it wrong. I apologize if I read anybody's name wrong. Okay. But where I'm at now, right now, is Matthew 7:7. That's just basic stuff right now. Matthew 7:7. Ask is a 3-letter word, if you will. Real simple. You know, it's funny. When my little Charles, he's big now, but when he was 3 and 4 years old, we would go to the store, and he literally would demand something. He didn't beat around the bush and ask. He just said, "I want that." You know. And I looked at his confidence so well. I looked at his, because he knew who I was. See? Now it's funny because when people want something, they kind of beat around the bush to get it, or they tell a story, or they, make a build-up so they can get to the point of asking because they don't want to be told no, because nobody likes to be told no. You know what I mean? But this is pretty basic, simple stuff. Ask, watch this, and it shall be given to you. Look at this. Seek, and you shall find. And it's so simple. It is so simple. Like today, I do beadwork. Here, I'll show you guys if you didn't join in before. This is the artwork I'm working on right now. This is what I'm working on right now. And these are beads. Some of these are beads, actual beads. Like the beak, that's beads. The eye, that's beads. And I honestly have needles, special needles for those size of beads. They have to be real small for the beads. And I lost my needles. I lost my needles. Here, some of you guys joined in again. I'll show you my art. There it is. It's what I'm working on. I'm an artist, professional artist, by the way. Look at that. How you like that eye? I love that eye. Look at that. I'm going to do another one over here. I'm going to do one of these over here. But anyway, that's the beadwork I do. That's the kind of artwork I do. Just to give you an idea, too, I do paintings. I got commissioned to actually paint somebody's picture. Here's another one I'm doing. This is another one that I'm creating. That's another one. I'm going to do an art show. Anyway, I'm going to getting back to this. So I lost my needles, and I went looking everywhere for them, and I could not find them. And I need those needles because they're a special kind of needle that fits the beads, that fits the string, because it's got to be a certain kind of string, certain kind of bead, certain kind of needle. And I looked and I looked and I got a little frustrated because I looked everywhere and I could not find them. Now, I either had to order them online, which takes a while to get here, and I'm trying to get this artwork done because I'm going to do an art show pretty soon. Then I can go to the store too. But I said, no, I had those beads. Well, I kept looking, like it says here, seek, and then I found them. I seeked, I sought, and I found them. Now watch this. Knock, and it shall be opened unto you. And there isn't anyone. Now they have doorbells, they have Ring, they have all this stuff that you can actually get attention at a door. Okay, now watch. Real simple stuff. 8. For everyone that asketh receiveth. And again, I want to say this to you. There's no stipulation of what you owe. when you ask. None. There's no stipulation. Well, if I do this for you, you better do this for me. I'm sorry, but yeah, that's the case with God. Nowhere does he do that. I think I've read it to you before, and I'm going to read it again. But it's in Corinthians. And what it says there is, just to show you, it says here, okay, now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. That we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. Now I'm going to share this with you. This is why I like this book. Because, well, let's wait 30 seconds. I wish I had elevator music, I'd play it. Let's wait 30 seconds. This is good tea. I'm a big tea fan. I remember I was at work one time, and one of the customers came up and said, "Do you guys sell tea?" I said, "We also sell R and we sell S too." She laughed like crazy. Anyway, I'm going to read it again. I'm going to read it again. Watch this. 1 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 12. 1 Corinthians 3:12. Now we have received not the spirit of the world, but the Spirit which is of God, that we might know the things that are freely given to us of God. Notice how 30 seconds before it said that. 30 seconds later it said the exact same thing. Just like this tea right here. Same thing. That's why I like it, because it's consistent. Okay? It's consistent. Like the sun rising and the sun setting. Consistent. Like the stars in the sky. Consistent. Like the oxygen we breathe. Consistent. That's why it says the same yesterday, today, and forever. You can always count on God being God. Now, if you look at God through anything else but through Him, you're in trouble. What do I mean by that? Okay, like when I'm going to read your words and I put these glasses on, I really can't see them. When I put the right glasses on, I can see what you type. Okay. Or the words on the Bible. Okay. So, that's the problem, see. Watch this. I'll share this with you. One time I was preaching at a church. And as I'm preaching, this lady got really mad. She said, "What, you think you know everything?" I said, "Ma'am, I'm going to tell you something. The reason I'm able to speak the way I speak is because I finally shut up. I quit telling God who He is and started listening to who He is." Big difference. See? Okay, anyway. "Everyone that asketh receiveth, he that seeketh findeth, to him that knocketh it shall be opened." Now he gives us a little example here. Now this is the coolest example that I can conceive or see. Okay, watch this. "Or what man is there of you, whom if his son asks bread, will he give him a stone? Or if he asks a fish, will he give him a serpent?" Now here's what he says here that kind of throws stuff off. That would be, because if you look at the word evil, you would see evil, and the word evil, the way we're told, I'm going to give you the definition, the spiritual definition of evil. Okay. And it's not what we think. It's not what I'm going to give you an example. This is going to be harsh, so I always tell people, put your spiritual seatbelts on, because this is going to be a little harsh. But I was preaching at a church one time. Wait a minute, let me see how much time we got. We're at 34 minutes. Okay, we're good. I was preaching at a church one time. And I asked them, the people, I said, how many have you heard of Jeffrey Dahmer? And most of them have. Most of them had heard of Jeffrey Dahmer. And as they're there, of course, everybody gets shocked. And if you guys don't know who Jeffrey Dahmer is, Jeffrey Dahmer was a guy back in the day who was a serial killer, and he ate 17 different guys. But his goal was to try to make one of their brains where they were kind of lobotomized, where he could keep them with him so they wouldn't leave him. But in his process of trying to do that, a scientist, he ate their body parts, put them in the fridge, put them in the freezer. And so they busted him, and he went to prison. 17 people that he killed. So I asked the church people, I said, and they said they knew who he was. I said, well, I'll tell you something. At least he was merciful. He killed his victims before he ate them. Here's what I told them. Christians eat them while they're still alive. What do you think backbiting is? But they didn't like that part. They didn't like that part. You know what I mean? Anyway, so Jesus says here, watch. He gives a prime example. If you're a parent, if you're someone that birthed a child, that basically nurtured a child, had a child around you. If they asked for something to eat, you would give them something to eat. He said you would do good by them. You would do good by them. Then he said this here, watch this. If you then, being evil, now he throws that in there. If you then, be us, being evil, and like I told you, it's that wishy-washy word that we have. Something benefits us, we're all for it. I always tell people this definition. I said, I'll give you human beings in a nutshell. I'll give you us in a nutshell. Basic, simply all of us. Give us possessions, we're happy. Try to take our possessions, we get mad. That's us in a nutshell. If you then, being evil, watch this, know how to give good gifts unto your children, how much more shall your heavenly Father which is in heaven give good things to them that ask him? There it is. That's what he's telling us. If you being evil, now, just to give you an example, let me see where I'm at time-wise. Oh, we're still good. I'm not trying to stay too long tonight. I got to work tomorrow, so I might not be on tomorrow night because I got to work. I think I close. I might do it in the morning, maybe. If not, I'll wait till, because I'm off Sunday, Monday. I'll do it then, if time permits and all that stuff. Anyway, we're here now, so wonderful. Anyway, the basic simplicity of it is us asking. You see? Now here's the thing. Here's what's phenomenal to me, and I think I shared this before, but I'm going to share it again tonight. Same book, Matthew, and this is dealing with asking and all that. Same book, but going back to chapter 6. Just to, if you can, take a load off a little bit, off your mind, off your shoulders, off your heart, off your life. It's funny. I remember one time we were driving in the middle of winter, and their mother had hit a patch of ice, and the car's spinning like this, and she's freaking out. And me, I'm ready for some kind of impact. I'm just bracing for it. I'm like, okay, we're gonna hit something. So the car's spinning. The two kids, the oldest ones, are in the back. They're tiny. The car finally stops. We didn't hit anything, thank God. The car finally stops. As adults, we're freaking out. The kids are in the back. Whee! Let's do it again. Right? Aren't kids amazing? Aren't kids amazing? You see what I'm saying? You look at those war-torn countries, and you'll see the kids playing on the blown-up tanks. Not as they're being blown up, but I mean after the war passes through there, after the battles pass through there, what's left behind, the relics or whatever you want to call them, the kids are playing on them. Isn't that wild? Okay, here's what it says here. Matthew chapter 6, verse 25. Here's what he says. Therefore I say unto you, take no thought for your life. Wow, that's heavy. Because that's what all we do. That's all we do. That's all we do. Watch this. He tells us that. Take no thought for your life. What you shall eat, or what you shall drink, nor yet for your body what you shall put on. Is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment, or clothing, covering, if you will? Now, I've shared this before, and I'll share it again tonight. I'm almost done. Bear with me. We'll see what time we're at. 41 minutes. Okay, we're almost done. But I don't want to be mean. I don't want to seem mean. I don't want to seem like... But I'm going to share this with you. The skin that covers your bones, your muscles, your flesh, your nerves, your sinew, your arteries, all that stuff, the skin that covers it, you or I did not provide that for ourselves. Period. Period. Straight up. You didn't provide it, I didn't provide it. And we go back. Whoever provided it goes back and back and back and back and back. As far back as you can go. None of those provided that for themselves. So let's take it from what he says, that he's the one that provided that. Well, if he can clothe, if you will, the sinew, the bone, the nerves, the muscles, the fat, the arteries, the nerves, all that with skin, if he can clothe all that with skin without any part of us involved, how much more can he clothe the skin? Then you look at the food, the life. You did not provide that life for yourself. I did not provide that life for myself. You know, and I'll tell you something. 90%, 99% of our troubles start right here. And that's the truth. Right here. Sometimes right here. But he says there, is not the life more than meat, and the body than raiment. So, if no one provided the life for themselves, let's say God did. So, if he's able to provide the life, he's able to sustain the life. That's all he's saying. If I gave you the life, I'm going to sustain that life. Okay. But see, here's our problem. We're listening to everyone else but him. That's where the problems come in. Honestly. Because even ourselves come up with this great idea. Here's what I tell people simplistically. We draw up maps, get lost, and blame God. Watch this. He says there, he's going to give us a little, I'm almost done. He's going to give us a little example. Here's what he says. Behold, the fowls of the air, the birds, the birds that fly in the air. They're not flying right now, it's nighttime. The fowls of the air, for they sow not. Sow not. I'm going to give you what sow, investment. They don't sow. What's this? Neither do they reap. They don't. That's crazy. The birds do not plant. They don't reap. What's this? Yet Your heavenly Father feedeth them. Are you not much better than they? And yes, we are. So he says there, they don't plant, and that's all we do all the, I'm going to prepare for the future. I'm going to prepare for hard times. I'm going to prepare. And you're never prepared. Like I told you about that guy that gave me the ride. He's driving a Tesla. I would have to walk to work if I didn't use his Uber. His car for the Uber. And he's telling me about his financial problems. Not that I'm saying I didn't want to hear him or he shouldn't have told me. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm looked down upon because I don't have a car at the moment. He's got a car and he's got it worse than me. Like when I hear about gas prices, I don't have a car, so it doesn't affect me. When I hear about road closures, I don't have a car, so it doesn't affect me. Watch this. So the birds, and I hear them in the morning, and I love to leave my windows open so I can hear them sing in the morning as they're in the trees. And they go to the ground. And I've found they don't go to the ground to look for something. They go to the ground because there's something there. They are going to eat. So he's saying, if he can take care of them, how much more can he take care of us? But if we buy into this idea, the limited, hello folks, what's this? Which of you, by taking thought, can add 1 cubit unto his stature? Or make yourself taller? Watch this. And why take you thought for raiment or clothing? I think my shirt's inside out. It is. Oh. And why take you thought for raiment? Consider the lilies of the field, how they grow. They toil not, neither do they spin. So the beauty that a flower has, and it's funny because they sell them where I work. They have a little flower area. Beautiful flowers. And the flowers don't have to do anything to obtain that kind of beauty. That's what's phenomenal to me. And yet I say unto you, that even Solomon in all his glory was not arrayed like one of these. Nobody can dress as beautiful as a flower. Hello, without no effort. Watch this. Wherefore, if God so clothe the grass of the field, which today is and tomorrow is cast into the oven, shall he not much more clothe you, O you of little faith? If he can clothe the grass, he can clothe us. I'll go deeper later on. There's more to it. Therefore, look at this. Take no thought for your life, saying, what shall we eat? Or what shall we drink? Or withal shall we be clothed? For after all these things do the Gentiles seek. For your heavenly Father knoweth that you have need of all these things. So he knows what you're in need of. Okay? And that's the simplicity of it. That's the consistency of it. That's the, like I said, I could read this, turn this back on 30 minutes later, and it'll say, that's why I love this book, because it's always consistent. And notice, I'm not translating anything. All I'm doing is reading what it says. That's all I'm doing. Okay? Okay, well, thank you for joining tonight. I'm going to cut it off here. It's only 49 minutes, but hey, if I can, I'll do it in the morning before I go to work. If not, it'll be late because I don't get out till 11:15, and I get here about midnight. If I take the Uber, then I'll be here sooner. But anyway, we'll see. God bless. Thanks for joining in. We shall see you next time. Have a good evening.